Hey, I'm Adam, and this is Horizons Forge. Let's make somewhere new. If you're new here, the whole premise is that I build dioramas set in a world of my own making, called Nouvenii. If you've been here before, you know that I've been away for a while. About 2 years, to be exact. I'll get into the why later, when I run out of things to say about painting. For now, just know that I'm back. I have a clearer vision for this world, and there's a lot more coming. But right now, you can see that I'm gluing a bunch of bark I found on a camping trip with friends and family onto a cheap wooden canvas. The next step is adding some ground texture and filling the gaps that make it obvious these pieces are glued together rather than one solid section of rock. I'll fill these gaps with classic Sculptamold, at first mixing a little bit too much water to too little compound. You can see what it shouldn't look like, and then eventually what it should look like. I spread out all the forbidden cottage cheese using a variety of tools and methods, trying to blend all the random pieces together. Then I finish with a water-dampened paintbrush to smooth everything out and look like it belongs together. Sculpting is one of the many things actually, that I want to get better at. I'm scared to do anything other than trees. So I'm going to make a big tree and get back into practice. Since I'm on the topic of practice, I want to admit that this project was more difficult than I anticipated. It took a lot longer than I expected to fall back into a groove. Filming, creating, managing time. It was also more fun than I remembered. But equally as frustrating, if I'm being honest. I started wrapping this gross, fleshy colored super Sculpey around a wire armature I made, adding segments over the wire and clay to give it a more organic look rather than something flat. I always try using these silicone clay tools, but I always end up going back to my ball stylus. Styluses? Stylusi? Anyway, I feel like I prefer subtracting from clay over just pushing it around. Either that, or my clay is too firm, the stylus is too soft, or I'm approaching it incorrectly. I don't know, what do you guys think? After sculpting in what I assumed was going to be the best I could do with creating tree bark, I put it in the oven for too long and it became brittle and broke. So I fixed those issues off camera and then started adding some smaller branches using thinner gauge wire. I tried to both add texture and also connect these wires using the super glue and baking soda trick, forgetting that baking powder and baking soda are different things, so this didn't actually work. This is Coco fiber, usually used for planting. I actually pulled it from my hanging baskets last year and wanted to use it to try to make tree canopies. Spoiler alert, it worked, but I think I can do better next time, and maybe with a slightly different material. Water, Mod Podge, flocking, and a drying rack gave me a rough shape I could attach to the branches. Since my super glue trick didn't work and I didn't have any baking soda on hand, I decided to go through some of my Vallejo earth texture pastes to make the exposed wire look less like smooth metal. And I may have gone overboard as I ended up painting most of the tree with this stuff. Now I'm adding the canopy pieces, which came together faster than when I usually make trees, but it not only needed more volume to fill out the tree, it was also equally too bulky. Any suggestions for tree canopies that you guys use? Before I move on to buying something like seafoam, I'd like to try polyfill. Have you guys found success with anything else? So one of the reasons I decided to make a tree was that I like making them. I do, and fun fact, the very first piece of terrain I ever made for D&D when I wanted to start creating and crafting were trees. So this felt like a good way to come back, right? I decided to come back because I missed being creative. I missed building things. I missed sharing with a community. I've actually tried twice over the last 2 years to build something and to post new videos. But I never felt right. I didn't like what I made, and I couldn't finish anything. And then recently I just felt very inspired. The inspiration didn't come from something. It was very internal, and it was mostly from a realization. I realized I was trying too hard. I was doing too much. I was feeling disillusioned by my lack of focus on what Nouvenii actually looked like, what Ethercall was to me, and how to build a cohesive visual narrative. I felt burnt out by the amount of work I was putting into each video and to how little return there was aside from the instant gratification. Because that gratification didn't last. It felt like I constantly needed to look back on my projects and do better. I need to edit better. I need to film better. I need to craft better. I need to speak better. I need to paint better. All of this it just built up and became too much. I felt limited by the gap between what I thought I could create and what I actually envisioned. Now I have a clear, more achievable, and more believable visual direction for this world. We'll get into what those changes are as I continue to post more videos, hopefully as regularly as possible. And you can see the minor, sometimes major changes I've made to how this world works and what it looks like. I feel like it's finally moved on from a modified D&D setting to a fully realized world. The first and probably largest change is that I'm no longer going to call it Ethercall, or Ether in general, as I felt that was fairly generic. And I'm close to settling on what it will be called, so stay tuned and maybe we'll find out together. And then obviously the last thing I did was put some black around the rim. Thank you so much for watching. To the new faces, I'm glad you found this. To the ones who stuck around while I was gone, I appreciate your patience more than I can say. If this resonated with you at all, please follow and share. The goal has always been to build something worth sharing and to inspire other people to do the same. Whether that means finishing something you've already started, trying something creative for the first time, or building a world of your own. See you in the next one.